That's fine. So probably as we get to talk and ask questions, we would get to know where you're joining us from and get to familiarize also with ourselves. Okay, so we will be starting off with me introducing the speakers and also letting you know the purpose of having this training this evening. We're looking at balancing career and motherhood, and we're going to be focusing on effective strategies for managing job responsibilities during pregnancy and post-childbirth. Okay, so the agenda for the day, we'll be speaking about us, why this training, we'll be looking briefly at the rules, then you meet our speakers speak questions, and then at the end of the session, we would like you to take out time to complete a survey. Now, what we want to achieve with that is just to let us know how well we've done or where you think we should improve on our trainings, because these trainings would continue. Trainings such as this would continue. So we would like to improve generally and make you happy. Okay, so my name is 𝐂𝐚𝐥𝐚𝐽𝐿𝐴 I'm the lead consultant of Santus Consulting. And Santus Consulting is a human resources solutions company. We aid organizations fulfill their HR needs. We're talking about recruitment, managing outsourced HR units, training services, and the rest. In this month of August 2024, we clocked 3. So I am talking about 3 years of consistent delivery in excellence. However, I don't do this alone. I have a team of human resources professionals that make these things happen. So why this training? I could tell you that as a human resources professional, I've had the opportunity to engage with numerous organizations and business owners, and there is this common challenge that they face, and that is a perceived drop in efficiency where some female employees becomes pregnant. So through my research and the research of some of our colleagues, we've been able to find out that with proper information and support, along with effective management of the various stages of pregnancy, there is a strong possibility that the outcomes could be significantly improved. So what would you be expecting? What should you be expecting from this training? At the end of this session, you'll be equipped with the practical strategies and knowledge to effectively manage your job responsibilities during pregnancy and post-childbirth. And we're talking about ensuring a smoother and more supportive experience in both your professional and your personal lives. Then you will know the right diets to take during and after pregnancy. Then you should know what to expect during your pregnancy journey and how to handle them. For example, how to handle hormonal reactions during pregnancy in the workplace. And we'll also be getting to know how to handle the different stages of pregnancy. Then I'm talking about the trimesters. And then you will learn how to handle postnatal traumas. That is what this training is all about. So all these things I've stated, you could put them down and look out for them as we proceed into the session. So here are just a few ground rules. You're here already, and we would want you to be present. So this means that you should try to turn off all distractions. So while this session is ongoing, please post your questions in the chat box, and we would attend to them at the end of the session. So we would have a question and answer segment where you get to ask your questions. The medical practitioner we have in our midst here will answer those questions. And then we have 2 of our speakers present here. They'll also be answering some of these questions based on their experiences, and also advise or make recommendations on what could work for you. Now, we would like to plead with you to leave your lines muted. So if you would like to speak, kindly click the raise hand icon. We're trying as much as we can to make this a lot more organized so we don't have a lot more people speaking at the same time. Okay, that being said, I've introduced myself, and we have one of the beautiful speakers here. Her name is 𝐂𝐚𝐥𝐚𝐽𝐿 𝐂𝐚𝐫𝐞𝐞𝐫. She is a seasoned banker with 20 years of extensive experience in the financial industry. So throughout her career, she has demonstrated exceptional expertise in banking operations, financial management, and customer relationship. She is known for her adept communication skills. 𝐂𝐴NYI has successfully navigated complex financial landscapes and fostered strong client relationships. Her proficiency as a communication expert has enabled her to lead teams effectively, drive business growth, and contribute significantly to the success of the institutions she has been a part of. And I tell you something, 𝐂𝐴NYI is a successful mother. She has been able to balance her career and also balance motherhood and be able to in a home. Now we have 𝐁𝐚𝐥𝐚𝐽𝐿 She is a seasoned contact center specialist with over 12 years of experience in customer service and management. She holds an HND in computer science, which has shaped her analytical approach and ability to leverage technology in enhancing customer experience. 𝐁𝐚𝐥𝐚𝐽𝐿 is currently based in the United Kingdom, and she's pursuing her master's in human resources management. Now, reflecting her dedication to fostering effective workplace environments beyond her professional life, she is a proud wife and mother of 3, balancing her career, studies, and family with passion and commitment. Isn't that interesting? And we have the key facilitator for today, Peter Emehel. He is a seasoned medical professional with a wealth of experience in health administration and currently oversees the staff clinic at the Federal Capital Territory Administration and serves as the Deputy Registrar of the Private Health Establishment Registration and Monitoring Committees, which regulates all private health facilities within the FCT. So I will be stepping aside for Dr. Peter to take over and take us through what he has to share with us for today. Thank you. Dr. Peter, over to you, please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Ijoma, and good evening, everybody. It's wonderful being in this meeting to discuss this very important topic that concerns women balancing motherhood and your job responsibilities. So let me try and share my screen. So we'll be discussing effective strategies for managing job responsibilities during pregnancy and post-childbirth. Now, by way of introduction, approximately 55% of women globally are part of the labor force. That is according to the ILO, and you have a significant portion of these who are of childbearing age. On the average, about 70% of working women globally continue to work during their pregnancy. In Nigeria, you have about 50% of women who are employed, with many balancing their jobs with family responsibilities, including pregnancy. Now, for us to discuss effectively, you have to understand what pregnancy is all about. Now, pregnancy has both physical and emotional changes. And for the physical changes during pregnancy, you have the morning sickness, you have the fatigue, you have changes in the breast, you have weight gain, frequent urination, swelling. Now, most of these are hormone dependent, because the morning sickness, you have a lot of hormonal changes that cause and this is typically during the first trimester, and usually is as a result of the increase or the surge in the HCG hormone. For the fatigue, usually as a result of increased blood production and the physical demands of carrying the baby. For the breast changes, this is as a result of the breast preparing for milk production. Frequent urination, this is almost throughout the pregnancy duration, and as the fetus increases in size, it impinges on the bladder, and so you have this frequent urination. Swelling, yeah, you have swelling of different parts of the body, also due to fluid retention as a result of the hormonal changes, and also increase in the blood volume. Then heartburn and indigestion. Some of the hormones produced help to relax the valves of the esophagus, and there's a kind of reflux. So usually this causes heartburn and indigestion. And of course, the back pain also as a result of the growing baby. So the changes in the mother's center of gravity results in back pain. Now, for the emotional changes during pregnancy, you have the mood swings, you have the anxiety and stress, you have depression. Some of them are constantly or persistently sad. There's loss of interest in activities around you, and then there's change in sleep and appetite. There's also increased emotional sensitivity, where there's feeling more emotional or sensitive than usual. Sometimes they just cry easily without even having anything that triggered the tears. They just cry. And there's excitement and joy, especially for first-time mothers who you're anticipating being a mother for the first time. So there's excitement and joy that goes with it. And then changes in self-identity for transitioning into motherhood and the responsibility that comes with it. So you begin to look forward to having that change in identity as a new mother. Now, coping with these physical and emotional changes, you have to rely on friends, family, and also your healthcare providers for support and guidance. Then a healthy lifestyle, you have to maintain a balanced diet, which will look at the types of food that you'll be taking in this period of pregnancy. Stay active, have some regular or moderate exercise, and have plenty of rest. Mindfulness and relaxation, you can do some yoga, do some meditation to help in the mindfulness, and then breathing exercises. Take time to relax. Open communication. Talk about your feelings with your partner or a counselor. Discussing with your partner is very important during the pregnancy process because it helps in the bonding between you and your partner. Because most times challenges will come. So the more you are bonded together, the better you're able to navigate this process. And then your prenatal care, you have to go for your regular antenatal or prenatal checkups with your healthcare providers to monitor both your physical and emotional health. Now, communicating with your employer is very important. You have to communicate about your pregnancy, and then you have to time the conversation when to tell your employer. Ideally, usually it's better to communicate between 12 to 14 weeks of your pregnancy. But depending on if you have a very supportive work environment, you can inform them earlier. Now, you have to know the company culture, the culture in your work environment. For an environment that that is supportive to pregnant women, yeah, you can tell them early. But if you are in an environment that is not really supportive, then you might want to to hold back and secure your pregnancy before you inform them. Usually why they say between 12 to 14 weeks is because at this period you've passed the period where there's a threat of miscarriage. So you're certain that your pregnancy is here to stay. And prepare yourself for the conversation. You have to know your rights. Familiarize yourself with your company's maternity leave policy and also the policies, your legal protection laws of the country. Like in Nigeria, you have the labor laws, which says that once you've presented your employer with your leave certificate, you're entitled to 6 weeks of 6 weeks before birth and 6 weeks after birth. And also when you are during your maternity leave period, you're entitled to 50% of your salary. Now this varies. In some places, like for instance where I worked, it was 4 weeks before delivery and then 8 weeks after delivery, and then you're paid in full. So the laws vary from, or the policy varies from place to place. In Enugu State, I heard that they've made it 6 months of maternity leave with full pay. So it varies. Now, having the conversation, you have to start positively and be direct in your communication. Also express your commitment. You have to let your employers know that being pregnant will not interfere with your work. So you have to let them know. And then because pregnancy is not an illness, so it's not something that will tie you down. However, we understand that because of the hormonal changes, especially for mothers who first-time mothers, you might not be able to. The hormonal changes might take a toll on you, and so you have to get yourself prepared. But most importantly, ensure that it doesn't interfere with your work. Also discuss the impact on your work. For instance, discuss with your employer and the work adjustments that might be done for you. And then transition planning. Transition planning simply means before your leave commences, you either train somebody who will step in when you're away. And it is pertinent to note that I always tell the people to make yourself, I know nobody is indispensable, but make yourself dependable so that when you are not there, you will be missed. So that way you can be able to, your employer or your work environment can feel your impact when you're there and feel your absence when you're not there. So be open to dialogue, listen to concerns from your employer, and then be able to make adjustments where necessary, and be flexible so that you can be able to be open to your employer's suggestions and be willing to compromise if necessary. Then follow up in writing. After you've had the conversation with your employer, then you have to put it in writing because it has to be made official, and then you maintain an open communication so that you can, if there are changes and updates that you need to get, you can be able to get those information as you journey in your pregnancy journey. Stay professional, remain positive, and focus on solutions. Now, time management and prioritization. Now, you have to understand your energy levels. So track your energy patterns. Notice when you feel most energetic so that you can schedule most of your demanding tasks during these times. For example, if you feel more alert in the mornings, then tackle your important projects then, and then rest when needed. When you take some short regular breaks, it can help you to maintain productivity throughout the day. Then prioritize your tasks. You can use the 𝐂𝐚𝐿𝐴 matrix. When you have the urgent and important, important but not urgent, urgent but not important, and then not urgent or not important, so that you can be able to prioritize your tasks. Now, delegate and collaborate. You have to delegate duties where possible and then collaborate with your colleagues. So obviously, we always tell you have to be friendly with your colleagues so that when they see that that your pregnancy situation is overwhelming, they can help you. But then you must be able to, like we said, understand your energy patterns and prioritize your tasks. Set realistic goals. So you adjust your expectations, understand that your capacity might change during your pregnancy, and set achievable goals. Break down your tasks also so that you can be able to have maximum achievement in your tasks. Utilize productivity tools. So you can have like digital tools, calendars, because during this pregnancy period, a lot of things, the hormonal changes, it might want to take a toll on you or disorganize you. So when you have tools that can use as reminders, you can be able to function more efficiently. And then maintain flexibility in your work. You have to adapt to changes because pregnancy can be unpredictable. So you have to prepare yourself and adjust to your plans if unexpected situations arise. And then you have to review and adjust your tasks where necessary. Practice self-care. You have to manage your stress, have a healthy lifestyle so you sleep well, have a balanced nutrition. Then limit distractions. So you have to limit distractions when you work, especially when you're handling those tasks that are very important. So that you can be efficient when you do that. Now, know when to say no. You have to set boundaries. Learn to say no to additional tasks or projects that could overload you. However, this is not to say that you can use your pregnancy situation as excuse to shy away from your duties. Of course, when you try to use your pregnancy situation as an excuse, and then it hampers your productivity, then you break the verbal contract that you already have. Remember, I said you have to ensure that you give that commitment to your employers that this pregnancy will not affect your productivity. So when you now use that as an excuse, you're already breaking that, and then you might run into trouble. Now, handling your hormonal changes, you have to understand and recognize the symptoms and be aware of the triggers. So when you have poor sleep, stress, these are triggers. So when you know these triggers, you can be able to mitigate them. We already talked about your self-care, healthy diets, take a lot of water, regular exercises, practice mindfulness and stress management, create a supportive work environment. So build a support network, stay connected, and use your workplace resources. Plan for bad days. Like, for instance, when you're overwhelming, depending on your work, the laws or your work environment, to know if you can be able to work from home and then prepare for the emotional moments. Manage your emotional responses. You have to acknowledge your feelings. When you acknowledge them, you can be able to respond appropriately. Usually do not react, rather you respond. Very important. And focus on solutions and not problems. Know when to seek professional help. Of course, you have to. It is expected that you're attending your prenatal or antenatal appointments. So whenever there's a problem, then it's picked up at the early stage. Now look at the different trimesters. We have the first, second, and third trimesters. The first trimester is usually between your first to 12 weeks. And during this period, the first trimester, your physical health, you have to, as soon as your pregnancy is confirmed, you have to register for your antenatal, and then ensure that you attend your appointments regularly. Have a balanced nutrition, stay hydrated, take a lot of water, manage your nausea, and avoid the triggers. Then emotional well-being, you have to acknowledge your emotions, like we talked about, the mood swings, which is common due to the hormonal changes. Share your feelings with your partner, friends, family, or a support group so that you can connect with others who can help provide comfort and reassurance. Now, workplace strategies. You adjust your workload. If you're experiencing fatigue or morning sickness, you can discuss possible adjustments with your employer, such as flexible hours. Plan for the future. You have to begin thinking about how you will manage your work responsibilities throughout your pregnancy and during your maternity leave. Now, for the second trimester, for physical health, you have to engage in your routine exercises like walking, swimming, monitor your weight gain by what you eat, continue your prenatal care, stay comfortable, sleep well, use comfortable pillows when you sleep. And so for emotional well-being, you have to start at this time to begin to bond with your baby. So this is when you may start feeling your baby move. So take moments to bond by talking or singing to your baby. Believe me, it works. Now educate yourself. Use this time to learn about childbirth, about breastfeeding, and newborn care. Continue to attend your prenatal classes and read books. Update your employer. You have to keep your employer abreast. If you haven't done that already, you start discussing your plans for your maternity leave. You manage increased responsibilities as your energy levels stabilize. You can take advantage of this period to tackle important projects and prepare for your maternity leave. And then you plan for your maternity leave. Like I said, you can begin to, this is a period for your transitioning of your duties, train a temporary replacement, and ensure a smooth handover before you proceed for your maternity leave. And for the third trimester, this is the time when you prepare for your birth and transitioning. You monitor your health, obviously, continue to relax, rest well, prepare for your labor. At this period, you're already on your maternity leave. So prepare for your labor, attend childbirth classes, practice breathing and relaxation techniques, and discuss your birth plan with your healthcare provider. Pack your bags. It's not when you're about to go to the hospital or when your water has broken, you begin to scramble to get your things ready. So you have to get your bags ready well ahead of time. Address anxiety. Stay connected, maintain an open communication with your partner, your family, and friends. This support can be very invaluable during this time. Then finalize your work transition, complete your handover if you haven't started your maternity leave. Stay flexible, like we said. And so now we'll go to your nutrition in pregnancy. Now, these are practical food nutrients that you need, diets that you need during your pregnancy. For the first trimester, folic acid is very important for the baby's development, the brain development, and the spinal cord. Iron, this helps in increasing your blood volume. This is rich. You can get them from lean red meat, poultry, fish, spinach. Calcium also supports development of strong bones and teeth. Protein supports the growth of fetal tissues. So you can also get that from eggs, dairy, and nuts. We'll continue to emphasize on hydration, because take a lot of water to help your amniotic fluid levels so that your baby is comfortable within the space. So for second trimester, calcium and vitamin D is very important. You can always get that from supplements, fortified foods and supplements. Omega-3 fatty acid. This also supports the brain and eye development. You can get that from fish oil supplements, walnuts. Fiber is very important so that it prevents constipation. This includes so magnesium helps in regulating your blood sugar levels and supports your muscle and nerve function. So you can get that from whole grains and leafy green vegetables. For third trimester, of course, your iron and protein is a continuous thing throughout the pregnancy, so it continues to increase your blood volume. Vitamin K is also important for blood clotting. Just when you have your delivery, so you don't have a postpartum hemorrhage. And take healthy fats. Continue consuming healthy fats to support the baby's brain development. This you can get in avocados, nuts, olive oil in your diet. And then complex carbohydrates for your energy. You can get this from sweet potatoes and other complex carbohydrates sources. Now, postpartum, immediately after birth, continue to drink a lot of water, protein and iron supplements to help in your blood volume. Continue your calcium and vitamin D. Continue your healthy fats. So long-term postpartum, continue a balanced diet, vitamin D. All these food nutrients are very important throughout. Continue to emphasize on hydration, because you need a lot of water, especially if you're breastfeeding, so that you can support milk production and overall health. Now, general tips. You have to limit caffeine intake during your pregnancy, equivalent to about maybe a teacup of coffee a day. After pregnancy, you can gradually increase this, but still wise to limit it during breastfeeding. Avoid alcohol. Just avoid alcohol. Postpartum alcohol can be consumed in moderation, but I would just tell you to just leave alcohol for now until you're done with nursing your baby. So avoid certain foods, especially undercooked foods or some certain types of fish that are high in mercury. Also avoid unpasteurized dairy products, because when your baby gets that, it causes a lot of problems for the baby's GIT, which is still undeveloped at that time. Now, there are postpartum challenges that a lot of women face. The physical recovery during postpartum. Now, there's postpartum bleeding, which we call lochia. That is the bleeding that still continues to come out after childbirth. It's normal to experience this bleeding and discharges for several weeks after childbirth. The flow will gradually decrease. Then there's perineal discomfort. If you had a vaginal birth, you might experience soreness, or if there was a tear or what we call episiotomy and it's sutured, you will find that very discomforting. For those who deliver through the C-section, the recovery from surgery can involve managing pain. You have to avoid heavy lifting and monitor the incision sites and any signs of infection, so that you don't have a wound breakdown. You can have breast engorgement in the early days of breastfeeding. Your breast may become swollen and painful as they fill with milk. Then also constipation, can have fatigue, pelvic floor weakness because of as a result of the stress of the delivery. You can also have urinary incontinence, you can have constipation and or hemorrhoids. Emotional and mental health, baby blues. You can having these mood swings. Some have irritability and anxiety after birth. Then some have this more serious case of postpartum depression. Some also have PTSD, especially for those who had a difficult delivery. They begin to have experience some traumatic, some flashbacks and nightmares from the traumatic experience they had. Some can also have some identity and role adjustments, because some new mothers struggle with adjusting to their new role of being a mother. Then you have the postpartum psychosis. This is a very severe but reversible mental health condition that affects people or women after they give birth. Though this condition is rare, but it can be very dangerous because some of them begin to have suicide tendencies and may even want to kill or drown their babies. So some also have breastfeeding challenges, like what we call the latch issues. Because of the inexperience for first-time mothers, they are not able to position the baby properly so that the baby can latch onto the nipple. So it begins to have nipple pain, and this can cause frustration and inadequate milk supply. Then you have mastitis, which is infection of the breast tissues. It can result in pain, swelling, and redness. Some can even have fever from that. Then you have relationship strain, postpartum. Sometimes this can cause decreased communication, decreased intimacy, and understanding, and this can be quite challenging. So that's why I said you have to begin to bond with your partner from the early stage so they can be able to navigate this period. Social isolation. New mothers may feel isolated, particularly if they are staying at home and with the baby and lack social support. So, well, we Africans, because we have this close knit family relationship, we usually don't have much of this problem, because once the woman has a baby, family members, especially mothers, come for what we call the 𝐂𝐚𝐫𝐞𝐞𝐫. So they usually have that love around them, so they usually don't have these social isolation problems. Now, support for postpartum mothers. You have the physical support, postpartum care visits. You have the pelvic floor therapy, so you have to do the 𝐂𝐚𝐥𝐽 exercise. You do your sitz bath to be able to for the pelvic floor to heal. Pain relief, have cold packs, warm bath, sitz bath, and then rest and sleep. For the emotional and mental health support, you must continue to have open communication. Encourage the mother to talk about her feelings with her partner, family, or friends. Counseling and therapy, especially for those who have the postpartum depression and the psychosis. Continue the mindfulness and relaxation techniques, education and awareness. Now, ensure that the mother and her family are aware of the signs of postpartum depression or anxiety, or even the psychosis. When these are recognized early, then you can be able to intervene and have effective treatment. Breastfeeding supports. Meet with your pediatrician to help with the latch issues that they have. Also have some breastfeeding resources, can have books to read or online support groups, breastfeeding friendly environment for when you resume work Some of the work environments have breastfeeding friendly, so you can be able to take care of that. Now, returning back to work. Reintegrating into the work environment after maternity leave can be a challenging transition, but with careful plan and support, it can be a smooth process. Now, in returning back to work, you have to continue to discuss already. Of course, when you took your maternity leave, you must have discussed your return date with your employer. So you confirm that your return date and also allow time to prepare for your transition back. Review your workload, discuss any changes in your role and expectations upon your return. This is also a good time to discuss any potential flexibility. Updates on company changes. That's why you have to continue to stay informed and open communication, so that if there are updates, you can be able to pick that before you return to work. Plan your childcare. So secure reliable childcare. Ensure that you have a dependable childcare plan in place before you return to work. And then, if possible, start your child arrangement a few days before you return to work. This allows both of you to adjust to your new routine. You can even practice a trial run, considering doing a trial run of your workday routine, including getting ready, commuting, handling your child, and all that. For some work environment that have crèche, well, it's a plus for you. So you have a place that you can nurse your baby when the time comes. So first few weeks back to work, you ease into the transition, start slowly. You have a flexible schedule. Consider starting with a reduced or flexible schedule, such as part-time hours or working from home a few days a week to ease into it. Continue to prioritize your tasks, but ensure that you remain valuable and dependable in your work environment. Continue to set realistic goals so that you can achieve much. Maintain an open communication, so continue to check in with your supervisor, stay connected with your team. And then work hours. You have to clearly define your work hours and communicate them to your team. Avoid taking work home if possible, because you already have enough work at home. When you take work at home at this point, most of the time you will return back to the office with the work that you took home. So it's better to be realistic, handle your schedules at work, and then when you go home, you face your work, the work that you have at home, of course with the help of your partner and your family members around. Also create time for yourself and your family outside work. Spend time with your baby and relax, so that when you get back whenever you step into the work environment, you are fresh. Emotional and social support. You have to seek support groups, mentorship, especially from those who have the vast experience, especially experienced mothers. They can help to guide you and mentor you on how to in balancing work and parenting, and also for advice and support. Continue to manage your stress. Give yourself time. You don't rush it, so you give yourself grace and time to be able to ease back into your work, and also stay connected with your child. Spend quality time with your child, and playtime and bedtime routines as well. Now, long-term career planning. You reevaluate your career goals. Look for opportunities for professional growth, such as training, workshops, or new projects to continue advancing your career. So Don't just say because you've had a baby, you just let yourself go. No, you must continue to develop yourself. Like I said, continue to be dependable, and if possible, make yourself indispensable so that your impact is felt in your work environment. Continue to stay visible, engaged, stay engaged in your workplace by participating in meetings, projects, and networking events. Reconnect with your professional network both within and outside your organization, and advise on potential care opportunities. So in conclusion, the strategies shared today focus on effective communication, time management, and self-care during pregnancy and postpartum recovery. By balancing work, health, and motherhood with proper planning and support, you can confidently navigate this transition. Remember, every journey is unique. With the right support from your employer, your healthcare providers, and loved ones, you can balance your career and motherhood, ensuring fulfillment in both areas of life. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Peter. This was indeed insightful, and of course, I was making my notes already, and I also have some questions to ask. But before I ask you the questions and jump into the panel session with Mrs. 𝐂𝐚𝐥𝐚𝐽𝐿 and Mrs. 𝐸𝐸fanyi, I would like to know if we have anybody that has questions for Dr. Peter at this time, please. Okay, so while we wait for them to see if there are questions that will be dropped here or anybody raising their hands to ask questions, I would like to ask a question, Dr. Peter. So it is around managing anxiety, handling anxiety during pregnancy, especially for first-time mothers. They're falling pregnant for the first time. So what's the best way to handle anxiety during pregnancy?
Well, like we said, anxiety in pregnancy largely caused by hormonal changes. So you can't really say how these anxieties are going to come up, when they're going to come up. But once you have anxiety issues, you take out time. Short breaks are very important. Also, that is the beauty of having your antenatal visits, because there are anxiolytic drugs that can be prescribed to help with your anxiety. So ultimately, exercise and short breaths can help in managing your anxiety, and also with your visits to for your prenatal clinics. This can be better handled in that aspect.
Okay, great. Thank you. So we have a question here. It says, how can a new employee manage her job and pregnancy, which requires a bed rest for the first 3 months from her doctor because of series of miscarriages she usually experiences once she takes in?
Okay, so that's a very interesting question. So for some people are prone to miscarriages. Some have what we call the threatened miscarriage, and some have what we call the recurrent miscarriage. Now, it is very important that when you begin your pregnancy journey, you take a lot of time to rest, and then once you start your antenatal visits, you discuss this with your healthcare provider. Now, for women who have these recurrent miscarriages, you must have a medical report from your healthcare provider, because if you've had miscarriage once or twice, the experience is not a good one, and you must do everything possible to prevent it going forward. So you might have to be on bed rest in the hospital, and so that you can be properly checked and taken care of. So in this case, a medical report from your healthcare provider, which you present to your employer, will help, so that they understand that this is the problem that you are having. And then when you have to be on bed rest, then you have to adhere with your doctor's orders, so that you forestall any other recurrence of miscarriage. So I think that is basically it.
Okay, thank you so much for that response, and I'm hoping that this addresses the person's questions. 𝐂𝐚𝐿𝐴, I don't know if this response addresses the question you asked, but if you seek more clarity, you could let us know. Okay, so I'd like us to go over to the other session, the panel session, where I have Mrs. 𝐂𝐚𝐥𝐚𝐬𝐧𝐜𝐢𝐬𝐴 and Mrs. 𝐂𝐚𝐵𝐵𝐷𝐷𝐷𝐷𝐷𝐷𝐷𝐷𝐷 to come on board. I'd like to see you. If you can turn on your cameras, please. We'd like to see you. Okay. Hello.
Hello.
Okay, so good to see you.
Hi, guys.
Yes, good to see
Yeah,
you.
good to be same.
Okay, so you agree with me that this is a very critical matter in the workplace. So I've had the opportunity to speak with people. As a matter of fact, I was rounding off an interview, a virtual interview sometime last year. And the lady was so good. She knows the job. She's experienced. And then by the time I wanted to wrap up with our conversation, she said, "Ma, please, can I tell you something?" I said, "Go ahead, please." She said, "I am pregnant, but I can do the job. I promise you that." So you could see that willingness, you could see that drive to want to get a job. You could see it written all over her face. I want to work. But she believes that once she's pregnant, because she's pregnant, that the organization wouldn't take her, which has been a serious issue that we're faced with in most organizations, most of our clients. They tell us, "I'm sorry, she's pregnant. I'm sorry, no, not pregnant woman." Oh, if the person is married, they say, "Oh no, we don't want a newly married person unless the person is going to be signing something to say that they're not going to take him within a specific period of time." So would you like to go ahead to say, "Oh, come and sign, I'm hiring you, come and sign," and all that, sign and agree to this, that you're not going to take it, you're not going to get pregnant within a specific period of time? Well, sounds somehow though. So I'd like to ask you these questions because I know you've been successful and you're still successful in being able to manage your career and your family, motherhood. So the question is about how you were able to manage workload effectively during pregnancy and after returning from maternity leave. And I'm asking Mrs. 𝐂𝐚𝐥𝐚𝐬𝐧𝐜𝐢𝐬𝐴 to respond to this question, share your experience with us, and so that every other mother here or supporting partners would also learn.
Okay, thank you, IJ, and thank you everyone for this opportunity. Anyway, there was something Dr. Peter said when he was presenting. He said, pregnancy is not a disease. It has to do with your mindset. It has to do with you believing that it's a transition. It's something you have to go through. It's a blessing and shouldn't bring you a curse. You wanting to work, there's a question in it. Do you want to work because you need a job, you need money, or you want to work because it's a desire to do something, or it's a field that you are interested in. Because you find a lot of people telling you they want to work, but by the time you give them that work, they will start manifesting. And you know what I mean by when I said they will start manifesting.
Yes.
They give you all manner of excuses. They're trying to play emotional game, blackmail, so to speak. So now it has to do with a mindset of, okay, this pregnancy is not a curse, it's not a disease. I need to manage myself and manage my work. I got pregnant. I wasn't pregnant when I started the job, but along the line I got married and I took in. I passed through all those stages and I told myself, okay, this is the company policy on this. I wanted to work, and by the grace of God, I was doing something I liked, I enjoyed doing.
Passion.
It was yes. So I brought in all I needed to bring in. But just like Dr. Peter said, communication is key. When you think your body can't carry you, you communicate, and on time, not behaving like you want them to understand that you're pregnant and they should allow you do whatever. Because I tell people I work with, I said, if this company was to be your company, would you behave in such manner? Because when you bring that attitude, the company will definitely close down. So it has to do with your mindset, accepting that it's a blessing, it's a phase, and it's going to pass through. And believe it or not, if you're this kind of person that is dedicated to your job, when you come up with an excuse, your management will believe you, and they will grant you that. Just like the question that was asked, how do you handle being pregnant? Your first trimester, you're supposed to be in the hospital. If your company knows that this is not something that is new with this person, all they need to do is to weigh the company policy. If it means allowing you go without pay for the 3 months or going with half pay, is the company policy, they go with it. But when you behave anyhow, you don't put in your best, then believe it or not, your company that will be their alternative. That's the best way for them to sack you. So that was how I was able to, maneuver my, but that pregnancy comes with a lot of challenges as well. So people are different.
Okay.
Yeah, and I wanted to add to what Mrs. 𝐂𝐚𝐥𝐴 said. Pregnancy doesn't just start when you take in. It starts when you get married. So once you get married and you're praying to God for the fruit of the womb, you begin to prepare your body for that pregnancy. So you do your exercises, you have a positive mindset, prepare yourself, body and spirit. Because a lot of people, it's when they just discover, they've missed their period and they've taken in, and then all hell breaks loose and they don't know how to go about it. They don't know their body, because their body was not prepared to handle that. It becomes a problem for them. And that is why you see some women who started from the onset to begin to prepare themselves, exercise, both mental and physical preparation. By the time they take in, you won't even know that they're pregnant until they're even almost a term. So you see them still working very actively, and then you saw 2 days ago who was at work doing everything. Then after 2 days, you heard, that she just put to bed, and you begin to wonder, so this woman was even pregnant. So you begin to prepare your body from the onset before you actually take in, so that you don't have these challenges. And then most of these organizations, they put these kind of policies because of the experiences they've had, and they don't want to have such again. So they begin to come up with some policies which might be very stringent, but they're trying to protect their own business. So that's just what I wanted to add. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Peter. I see Mrs. Ifeanyi has something to say to add to this. She has her hand raised.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Doc. Your insight and in fact your explanation kind of just took the whole turn, a different turn, you know, on what it is that you verbalized what it is our experience is. And I identify very, very well with Mrs. 𝐂𝐚𝐥𝐚𝐽 because this is the life we face, you know. Most of us don't get to make that choice, you know, as to when to get pregnant. And then is the pregnancy more important, or is it your career, or do you want to make money? And that's the reality of the country and the climate that we're in. But from your presentation, there's a lot of things that you said, and I really hope that the women on this call really got it. One of them was communication, and you see, Ms. 𝐂𝐚𝐥𝐚𝐽 also harped on it. You see, communication is what determines how far we go, especially working and having kids and running a home, whether you're doing it in marriage or out of marriage. You know, how we communicate is the way it shows how far we can go with it. Let me give you an example. So you are working, you just got a job, and 1 month into it, just like the scenario she painted, you're pregnant. Two things might happen. You're probably not even ready. Mm-hmm. In most organizations, you are only eligible for maternity if you have done 1 year minimum. That is what it is. It's not about law. That is just what it is in most organizations. So you then have to have added value, which is another thing Doctor spoke about that I agree with. If you have added value in your workplace, it is easier to explain to the system what it is that you're dealing with. And if they're going to make a decision on you're going to work until you can no longer work, and we will extend half pay, or we will say we will not pay you, it is based on the value you have brought into the organization. Because understand that the business is there for profit. It is not emotional. It is what it is. Your health issues or not are really not part of what makes the company run. So that is the harsh reality that we face, especially working in Nigeria. So the one thing that has helped, you know, and that will always help, is the ability to communicate. That's the most important thing, really. And then to make yourself relevant. You know, I have worked in a target-driven occupation, you know. So if you are not adding value in terms of meeting your numbers, then the relationship aspect has to be there. Meaning that if you have targets, for instance, as a marketer that you're not meeting, let it be that the few clients you have see you as valuable. So it might be those clients that are even speaking for you to say, no, this person, we need them. If they don't manage our transactions, it doesn't work out. So there has to be that intentionality about being the best at what you are doing, pregnant or not. That is the starting point, so that you are prepared for whatever might happen as you go on. I mean, exercise is good, diet is good. Those experiences come in when you have the comfort of a job, especially in cases where you need the funds to actually even be a mother. So those are the challenges that I know we're here to talk about, and how we deal with them and how we manage. I just needed to comment. And something else that worked for me is the ability to ask for help. And there again, we're going to relationships.
Very important.
So yeah, so if I don't know you, if I haven't established a relationship with you, how am I asking for help? So it's important, especially as women, to manage our circle. It is sometimes the person that solves that immediate need might even be a colleague that says, oh, you know what? I mean, my first daughter, the crutch I used for her was a cleaner in my office that said, oh ma, there's a crutch just beside the office, so I could actually just go out and breastfeed and come back. So asking for help is key. One of my bosses used to love Les Brown, and he would play Les Brown over and over again, and he would say, we ask for help not because you're weak actually, but because you want to remain strong. So if you understand that in asking for help, you are not losing anything, it makes it easier to deal with the challenges as they come, because they will come. They will come.
I know.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for that. So I'd like to ask this. So either you or Mrs. Chinaya could take this. I wanted to know if while you were pregnant, if you were enrolled in any help resource program that maintains a healthy work-life balance. Did you enroll in anything where you can get information, support, guidance on how to manage the cycle?
So let me respond to that first because first of all, you said she's in the UK. So let me respond and say I'm in Nigeria, right? And here, that is something we really lack, with all due respect. Even to tell someone in Nigeria that you are pregnant before you're showing is an issue. You see, Doc is nodding his head. So you see that, these resources, and that's why I was really happy when you told me about what you were doing, because I see an opening in letting people really begin to talk about the pregnancy route. It's not that big a deal if we just talk about it. So my response to you is no, not because I didn't want to, but because as at that time, and I don't know about today, they didn't exist. And if they did exist, they were not things we knew about. I mean, thank God for the internet today. So, it's easier to search for these groups, but the fact that you have to search for them means that they are not readily available. And so we have to put that out there. So for my time, I mean, no, I didn't know about them.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
My question was also in Nigeria. So don't worry. I did not. I only had my maternity, what's it called? Antenatal days. When we go there and we learn a lot of stuff. They teach us, tell you what to do and what not to do, what to expect and all what not. So they were then I made use of the internet as well. Sometimes I read my body. When I see one or two, I try to browse it, then ask questions in my antenatal. Nothing much, honestly.
Oh, great. So I'm seeing a question here. I think Dr. Peter, that goes to you. It said, like someone said, the baby is growing in her womb, but I am the one pregnant. That was the cry of a man in National Hospital. My question is, how do the men come into the system? What's their responsibility to help her bounce back to work well?
Okay, so I've also had such experiences when I was actively in the hospital setting. When you have, in fact, we had this man whom the wife was in labor, and with each scream the wife screamed, the man will run to the restroom to go and wee and come back. So the man was also in labor outside of the labor room while the wife was inside. So, like I said from the beginning, pregnancy is something you plan, and it involves both partners, the man and the wife. So the man has to be involved in every step of this journey, because it takes a lot from a woman to carry this pregnancy with all the hormonal changes, and then with the situation, especially for those who are in Nigeria, the challenging situations that you face every single day, from the market, the church, your social circle, and everything. It takes a lot. So the man has to be involved in the whole process. In fact, I was telling someone, I said, every man should be allowed to be in the labor room when the wife is delivering, so that he can be able to witness firsthand what the woman is going through. So when the men are actively involved in the whole process, they'll be able to appreciate what the woman goes through and offer that needed support that she really needs in those with those challenges. Women are, I would say, the strongest creature that man ever created, because they what they go through, it's incredible. So to answer that question, the man has to be involved every step of the way, not just when it's time for delivery, but right from the onset. You have to give her that emotional support that she needs, in addition to the physical support. And there was something I just escaped my mind, but the men have a serious role to play in supporting and helping her to bounce back.
I agree. I agree with you, Dr. Peter. So I also would like to ask 𝐂𝐚𝐥𝐴. So did you have any time management strategies put in place while you were pregnant? So have been able to manage your work and pregnancy, time management strategies that you would like to share?
Okay. Just like I mentioned earlier, pregnancy is not a disease. It's something that it stays. So what I actually did, because I found out at some point that I was forgetting things. So I had to use calendar. And I used calendar and I used my alarm clocks, set timing on what I needed to do. When I got pregnant, my first pregnancy, my job, my office and my house was, as in the distance was something else. But what I did was, plan myself. If I'm on morning duty, I know that there's traffic within this place around 6 a.m. and I need to be in the office around 7:30. If I meet that traffic by 6 a.m., I'm not going to make it to work. So what I do is to set my alarm. I know that if I leave by 5 a.m., I'll pass that traffic and get to my office in time. So I had to plan my schedule, what I needed to do. When I was on morning duty, I know I have to leave my house 5 a.m. or latest 5:30. So between 4:30, I set my alarm, 4:30, I'm awake. I didn't have anybody around because at that point, with my first pregnancy, my husband was not also around. So it was just me. So I would just wake up, do what I needed to do. I don't have much to do that morning, dress up and leave. So it was just my alarm, so that I don't forget, because at some point it was that I was just forgetting things. So I needed to plan myself, get myself in tune so that I don't get into trouble. So that was really what I did.
Okay, so you will agree with me that most people, when after they give birth, that's after childbirth, when they're returning to work, it looks as if their self-esteem drops. So We've had situations where we organize interviews, and when they come in, some ladies come in, you ask them, so why did you leave your previous work, your job? And they tell you, oh, I fell pregnant. So they didn't want any pregnant person around, so I had to resign to go take care of my baby. Or sometimes they say, oh, it was when I went to give birth, I didn't return, maybe due to one issue or the other. Now, when they speak, you could tell from their look that self-esteem has actually dropped. What do you think is responsible for that? That's number one. And then number two, how were you able to, okay, did you experience such thing, low self-esteem? If you did, how were you able to bounce back? But if you didn't, how would you say or advise someone to bounce back? I know that's a lot of questions, but I could take them one after the other again. So you could go for the first one.
Okay, let me go back a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Growing up, I had issue with self-esteem. I was this shy person. I was this kind of person. I have a lot to say. I wouldn't be able to say it. I could stand before people. In fact, I can't even stand before people. But I worked on myself to get to where I am. So telling me that after having a blessing, that it should bring down my self-esteem, Abba. I guess for those people, probably they had a self-esteem issue which they have not dealt with. Because yes, I know that pregnancy can do a lot of things, change your shape. Like now, as in up to now, that I used to have, flat tummy, and after pregnancy and everything, you see belly everywhere. But for goodness sake, it shouldn't change who I am and what I'm able to deliver. That's what matters, not my physical appearance. My physical appearance has nothing to do with my job. Yes, I need to, people address you the way you're dressed, but then it's your dressing, comportment. It has to do with here. So I didn't really experience that.
Okay.
For me, it's a blessing. It's only when you see it as a blessing that it shouldn't come with low self-esteem. It's only when you see it as, I don't know. I can't really talk about them. But for me, it was a blessing. So I don't see why it should give me low self-esteem.
Okay, someone said, wow, reduced self-esteem in the workplace because of childbirth. Never heard of that before. Okay, so you just heard of that now. Okay, so Mrs. Stephanie, you have something to add to that? Please go ahead.
Yeah, so let me start first of all by saying I think it's also where you work. Okay. I work with a bank. So 90% of the time, clients are drawn to your physical appearance. And that changes during and after pregnancy. So you see a lot of the ladies, remember they're young ladies that most of the time have been appraised, they have gotten ahead because of the way they carry themselves, the way they dress, and then they become pregnant. Dressing has to change, style has to be modified because they're married sometimes. So yes, issues of self-esteem they come up from time to time. Because of my work, I know I had to manage a unit where my job was to let the people coming back post-pregnancy to get back to being comfortable in their new body size or the way they now have to dress. So yes, issues of self-esteem, especially if you are a people-facing staff. Nigerians can be, human beings really, sometimes can be really cruel. I mean, I've had a customer tell a pregnant staff, oh my goodness, you mean you can be this big? You know how it can be damaging to a lady I mean, she prides on herself on being a size 8 and she's now a size 14. So you have issues like that. My advice has always been, get comfortable with the new you.
Aha.
What worked for me? Yeah, get comfortable with the new you. What worked for me was I started, to adapt with each trimester. I was lucky in my first pregnancy. By the time I was 7, 8 months, in fact, I was 8 months before a lot of people realized I was pregnant. I didn't show at all. At a point, at 8 months, I had to start wearing really tight outfits so people would at least see my belly button. And before, Nigeria, before they say maybe she went to adopt a child and all that, but that's by the way. But really, that's it. So I started by dressing appropriately. So I switched my dress sizes as I realized that they were getting a bit tight. So that way my physical appearance was still as fashionable as it had always been. I didn't all of a sudden begin to tie my hair and wear long dresses if that was not what I was wearing. I mean, I still wore the kind of dresses I wore. I then made out time. I agree with the planning. So I used to be able to make my hair every week. I couldn't do that because some weeks I can't get off my bed. I just want to sleep. So I then started to make hairstyles that I would wear for a longer period. And so I would still come out looking nice. So I saw that actually helped me, so I could style my hair and you wouldn't even understand that I haven't been to the salon in a bit. So those things help. The physical appearance, I mean, really, it affects a lot of women's self-esteem. It did. So what I did, how I handled mine was just adjust. At a point, I then switched to flat shoes and I made sure they were really, really fashionable. I didn't wear slippers when I was going market and people would go, what's going on? So it was just like I switched in style. And when I came back, I just gradually switched back. So you wouldn't really notice. I mean, it was still she was fashionable, she's still fashionable, So really those things affect especially the women. It does affect us.
Okay, that's fine. So I would say, from what I understood from what you said, so you maintained steez all through. You maintained steez. So that means as a woman, you need to be intentional. So you shouldn't leave yourself once you're pregnant. And like we say, pregnancy is not a disease. Pregnancy is a blessing. So you need to be intentional, carry yourself well, become a person of value, and continually add value at your place of work. Yes, Dr. Peter, you have something to say. And before you go ahead to talk to Dr. Peter, I would like to invite one of my senior colleagues, Frank Ozo. He's on this call. He's a human resources professional as well. I would like to have him turn on his camera so that we'll see him. I would like to have him contribute one or two things to this conversation. Thank you.
Okay, so you've spoken well, Madam Ifeanyi and Chine, and that was why I continue to talk about the mindfulness. You have to encourage these practices like meditation. It helps to build your spirit. I just remember there was this, I don't know if you guys know the UFC, like a kickboxing sport. And there was this lady, she was fighting the champion to see if she could take the belt from her. And even from the first time, from when she stepped into the ring, she kept telling herself, you could see her mouthing it, I am the best, I am the best, I am the best, I am the best. And guess what? She won the champion and she took the belt from her. So you must attract positive energy towards yourself. Continue to tell yourself that you are beautiful, that this child that God has given you is a blessing to you, and nobody can dampen your spirit or make you reduce your self-esteem. And if you don't let that happen, nobody can do that to you. So whatever happens to you is as a result of what you let in. So that's just what I wanted to add to that. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Peter. Yes, I agree. So you have to be your own cheerleader, encourage yourself all through the journey. Okay. So, Mr. Frank, I would like to have you share with us a few things before I ask the final question I have here from 𝐂𝐚𝐥𝐚𝐽𝐻𝐿𝐢. Has sent in her message from the United Kingdom, and she has a question as well. Go ahead, please.
Thank you very much. I'm unmuted now. Thank you very much, IJ. Thank you, Dr. Peter. I know I had 𝐂𝐚𝐥𝐚𝐽𝐻. I can't remember all the other names. So thank you for x-raying this very important topic, subject matter experts. So I'm going to be talking briefly from my little experience in HR. I've been in HR for almost 2 decades, and I've seen all sorts of things happen to and with pregnant women in the workplace. I've seen employers of labor being very unkind, and I've also seen them being kind. But what matters most to me is 2 key things. One, the person in the situation, the pregnant women, woman, and HR. First of all, I noticed that some women wouldn't want to communicate that they are pregnant, and some would want to apply for their maternity leave a week or 2 weeks to their expected delivery date, and sometimes it comes with a lot of backlash from management. HR faces the music and all. So I would advise that women in such pregnancy situations should do their best to go by the notice period, whether it's 6 weeks before delivery date or 5 weeks or 4 weeks, depending on the policy of the organization. But the level law, I guess, says 6 weeks. Do your best to communicate that clearly. Pregnancy is not a disease, like we've said over and over. It's not a disease, it's a blessing. Not even a blessing in disguise. It's an explicit blessing that many people are praying for. And then talking to the HR person, you need to be a lot kinder. I will speak from my experience. I had someone who was pregnant in my first year in a particular organization where I was the group HR, and she, of course, observed her maternity leave, and after the expiration of the leave period, she asked for an extension. The policy covers it. Extension where she could get like 1 month extra. And the policy in the company said you will not get paid during that period. Initially, you'll be on 50%, but if you ask for an extension, not longer than 1 month, you'll not get paid. Well, I spoke on her behalf. I pushed her matter, and then, of course, she got it. I didn't know she was trying to relocate. So she used that period to to leave the country. So while I was pushing her matter and all of that, she was tidying up her traveling plans. And the week she was meant to resume, she dropped a notice letter, a quit notice, resignation notice, sorry, that she was leaving. And everything came tumbling on my head. You're the spokesperson. You're always trying to help people. Now see it. So it affected the people that came up after her. And at the end of the day, the next person after her returned to work, but she lost the job. I couldn't defend her beyond what I had done before. And then the third person lost her baby. So I was in a situation where, could I have done better? Could I have done more? Could I have, faced management again and helped rescue this woman that had a repeated case of losing her babies, miscarriages and all that? She'll go for a sacrilege. The doctors would know that one better. She'll go for a sacrilege, and still she would lose the baby. So that was the third one. And it was really painful for me painful for the organization. The same organization that had blamed me the other time, they then had to pay for her to meet a psychologist, and she was out of work for 2 solid months. When she returned, it was my duty to ease her back into her space, into the workspace. And that's where HR managers come in. You need to demonstrate empathy, you need to show leadership, and you need to also show that you value the person. And even if you want to let the person go, it wouldn't be ideal to do that when the person is still hurting or just resuming and trying to find their feet. And then lastly, I would also want to say that during the interviews, when I noticed that someone had been in between jobs or out of a job for a long period, and then you find out that the person was pregnant, this thing of self-esteem comes in. You see, some of them will bend down and begin to act shyly and all that. And that's where the human side of my HR comes in. And I let them know that it was not a curse for you to have been pregnant. So if you were pregnant and your organization laid you off, now that you're ready to go back to work, you need to come back with an I can do spirit and trust yourself. Come back with a confident spirit that you can make it. So I turned off the camera, talked to them. When we are done, I turn the camera on and continue the interview. And at the end of the day, even if they don't get the job, they go back with this air of confidence that someone still believes in me. So this is my last word for tonight on this topic. And I appreciate you all. And we look forward for further engagements like this. Thank you very much, IJ. Thank you, everyone.
Yes, you're welcome, Mr. Frank. So I have a question for you from our audience. One of our audience, she says, are pregnant women unemployable? That's number one. Or could it be a stigma in Nigeria? A friend in the United States got her current job at 7 months pregnant. What is obtainable in other developed countries?
Okay, pregnant women are not unemployable. And but I say this with caution because I'm not in every industry. I don't know what job roles all the women are doing, because there's some roles that would require lifting of objects of certain weight grades. There are some positions that would require standing for a long time and all. So if a woman is pregnant and she's coming into such a role that would require standing or standing for a long time, moving around for long hours or carrying heavy weights, I don't think it is advisable to let her do that job unless you will be in a supervisory role where someone else will do the lifting and all of that while she takes notes. Pregnant women are not unemployable. I've seen pregnant women deliver excellently in the schools that I've managed, in the offices that I've managed. I've seen them deliver excellently. The last organization I worked for in Abuja, the CEO was with us in a meeting, management meeting. We didn't know she was in the hospital. And in the course of the meeting, she asked to be excused for a few minutes. And less than 30 minutes afterwards, she had put to bed a baby girl, just like that.
Amazing.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. So she was superwoman. And another interesting thing to it is that some documents I had submitted to her, because I started their HR from scratch. So I had to build a lot of documents. I submitted at least 14 documents to her, including HR policy, a number of policy documents and stuff that had to do with process flow. She approved them in 3 days. She read through all of them. I'm talking about tons of pages. She read through them in 3 days and approved. What the GM could not approve in 1 month, could not read through and approve in 1 month. She did that in 3 days. Oh yes, in 3 days. It was, I didn't even know she was pregnant. That's the funny part, because she was in the US and I was here in Nigeria running a business. So pregnant women are not unemployable. However, it depends on the job role and the industry. And also the management. Management has a key role to play here. And of course, the HR, if the HR is human enough, you would know how to help a pregnant woman settle in. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Frank. So I have Augusta here saying that she got her current job 8 months pregnant, and she was allowed to resume 3 weeks after delivery. She performed exceptionally well during the interview, so she got the job. Well done, Augusta. Just keep moving. Then I have a question here from 𝐂𝐚𝐥𝐚𝐽𝐿𝐵𝐴NYO. She says, Mr. Frank, please, did an employee lose her job because she asked for 1 month's leave without pay? Also, please, what was your negotiation with the management on? Was it to approve 1 month's leave without pay, or was it for her to be paid during the leave without pay period? I could take that again if you want me to.
Yeah, take it again.
Okay.
Take it again.
So she's asking.
The second question.
Well, I think that was from the example that you gave earlier. You say, please, what was your negotiation with the management on? Was it to approve 1 month's leave without pay, or was it for her to be paid during the leave without pay period? That I think,
all right.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, it's a bit twisted. The last part of it is a bit twisted, but I will do my best to untwist it.
Okay.
So, falling back to the policy of the organization recognized the fact that if you're on maternity leave, you earn 50% of your net, 50% of your usual income. So during her maternity leave, she was on 50%. The policy also has a provision for extension of maternity leave period beyond what the labor law approves. The labor law approves for 12 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. And she needed an extension. The policy of the organization said, I think the longest you could have was 2 months, if I'm not mistaken. So the policy of the organization says, if you want an extension of your leave period, you would not be paid during that period of extension, not during your actual maternity leave period. Okay, so she got the extension. I pushed for it because she gave her reasons and all that. I didn't know she was not sincere. So she got it. And by the time she was to resume, this is the drama now. By the time she was to resume, she began to say, no, the date that she started her maternity leave was wrong, that we took away 2 weeks, so that we should give her an extra 2 weeks. And I was like, well, I wasn't there when she started her maternity leave. There was no record at all. And then I went back to her, said, you tell me when you actually started. So maybe January, maybe February. You know, I didn't recognize that she was playing a game. So I still managed to get her those 2 weeks. I had a persuasive way of approaching the owner of the business. So she said, okay, Frank, if that's what you negotiated, okay, no problem. So the annoying part, and that's the twist of the story, is that when the 2 weeks were over and she was supposed to resume, maybe on a Monday, she called me and said, I don't like our boss. I don't like this. I don't like that. I don't think I'm returning. And as I'm speaking to you, I'm relocating to the UK. And this is my resignation letter. First, she asked me, how many days should someone who has not been confirmed, how many days of notice period should the person give? And I was just being myself. I said, oh, from the policy, 7 days if you've not been confirmed. But if you've been confirmed, it's 1 month. And she said, okay, fine. So I'm not comfortable with our boss. I'm not comfortable with this and that and that. So she spoke to me rudely the other day. So because of that, I decided I'm not coming back. And this is my letter. Just like that, I was petrified. I was like, what is this? How do I go back to this woman? And you can be sure I had the backlash at the end of the day, and she left the country. She just disappeared.
Okay.
She just disappeared. So she wasn't denied her pay during her maternity leave, but the policy of that particular organization said that if you get an extension of your maternity period, that extended period, you will not be paid. But your maternity leave period, you will be on 50%. I think the law also covers that. I don't know if I've sufficiently answered the question.
Okay, so for me, I think yes, you answered that well. Well, I don't know if your question has been answered, 𝐂𝐚𝐥𝐚𝐽 Obianyo. But in any case, you can also drop further questions to Mr. Frank, and he will respond as well. Okay, so this has been a wonderful session, if you ask me. Okay, she said thank you. And I've also learned, and I know that a woman that is pregnant is a superwoman. That's first. You're a superwoman because you're carrying a child. And you have to carry that child till the cycle is complete, and then you bear the child. That makes you a superwoman. And we would like to see how we encourage you so that you just maintain that self-esteem. You need to work on your self-esteem. Please don't think down of yourself. You see, Mrs. Ifeanyi maintained steez all through, and she had it all planned, and she was intentional. So you should also be intentional. Now, I'd like to say, Mrs. Ifeanyi, in just 2 words, what would you say to us before we call it a wrap? Okay, you're muted. In 2 words.
Yes. Okay. So first of all, thank you again. This is quite interesting, and it's encouraging to know that there's a resource like this, and there are people like this thinking about how to help women get better at the workplace. And my advice to every woman is this: there's a lot of strength in being able to overcome challenges and not lose your femininity while you're doing it. You know, I always say that in being a woman and being a submissive woman, there's the strength we display in controlling what it is that we can do is actually what makes us excel. So it's not about, is it right? A man does get away with, not having to go through what we go through. The thing is this: the situation is what it is. These are the roles. Let's work with it and triumph over it. Make the best of the situation. And I'm sure as we become intentional with it, we're raising a generation of women that understand that pregnancy is just an event. And when we're done, how we come out of it determines how far we go. So thank you, and let's keep going to super women there. And again, congratulations to that lady that got the job at 8 months. I mean, to go for an interview and still deliver. Well done. Well done. And well done again. Thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you so much, Mrs. Ifeanyi. Thank you so much, 𝐂𝐚𝐥𝐚𝐽, Dr. Peter, you're amazing. Thank you, Mr. Frank. So let's just have all these at the back of our minds. Remember, be intentional. You're a superwoman. Now, we understand what we mean by being super, not going to do weightlifting when you're pregnant. No. Now you understand what we mean by being super. So try as much as you can to plan yourself. Dr. Peter said as soon as you get married, then you should start planning and start preparing for your pregnancy journey. So be a person of value. Learn effective communication. This is key. This is crucial. This is very important. Learn how to ask for help and encourage yourself. Attract positive energy. Speak to yourself. I can do it. I can go through it. I will remain relevant. I would remain competitively relevant. And you see, you start walking towards that way. So I want you all to know that we care about you. And right here at Santus Consulting, we are rooting for you. Thank you so much and have a wonderful evening. Good night.
Thank you, everybody. Good night and have a blessed
Good night.
evening.
You too, sir. Bye-bye.
All right.
Yeah,
Good night.
thank you.
Everyone.
Welcome. You're
Good night.
welcome. All right, bye.